Hello. It is that time of the week that we get to come together and do a little stamping. Today is going to be a fun class. It's all about paper pumpkin. And I just, these kits keep getting better and better and better. You think, oh, it can't get, any better than it is. And hello, it gets better. So it's kind of fun. It's the day before the 4th of July, and here in the United States, we celebrate it big. Tomorrow, our little town does the 4th of July, like, I mean, they really take it up to another level, so it's kind of fun. It sounds like I have wrestling dogs in the background. You think they're quiet, and all of a sudden you turn on a live video and they start to make noise. All right, I have a viewer. I'm not exactly sure who it is, but say hello. But I always say it just takes one viewer, and that is my cue to say, I want to say, shut up, dogs. Hey, knock it off. Sorry. But that is my cue to say, good Thursday morning, and welcome to Seeing Ink Spots. Today is Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin, and we're going to focus on the Full of Charm Paper Pumpkin Kit from June, along with, you're going to see some cameo rolls from the Floral Charm Suite Collection, which just released on Tuesday, and gosh, is it gorgeous. Oh, Maggie is here, my old neighbor. Well, hello, Maggie. I'm glad you're here. You're my one and only right now, and I love it. How is Jarvis Avenue? Are you holding down the fort in San Jose? I hope so. All right, so there's a couple others on. Michelle is on. I got your card, Michelle, and it's so cute. I love it. Michelle Montemoro, she used the Beautiful Blues Kids collection to make 4th of July cards, and it's spectacular. It's got this cute little flag on it. It's really adorable. So A+, Michelle. All right, let's get on with a little bit of business and then what we're here to do, and that is a little bit of stamping with this paper pumpkin kit. All right, here comes the hand. I know it's your favorite part. I'm not super sophisticated when it comes to, fancy systems. I love it, Michelle. Okay, let's see here if we can get this going. Get it fairly level, which it's not, so give me just a couple more seconds. Talk amongst yourselves. The flag was from Garland. What a way to, use up different things that you have. Very smart. Okay, so the business, on with the business. My first bit of business is the Global Ink Collective. The tutorial bundle this month is Painterly Pairs. And let me tell you, I have seen each and every one of these projects, and they are beautiful. Holy moly, are they gorgeous. Good morning, Daisha. Anyhow, these, so this team is past and current artisans from Stampin Up. And this one's mine. Anyhow, this is just such a beautiful suite collection. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tutorial bundle. It's $15 in the United States. And you can also earn it for free with a $50 purchase from me. Hello, Pauline. Good to have you here today. So you can earn it for free with a $50 purchase. So kind of fun, kind of fun. I don't have a picture, but I also have the Full of Charm Paper Pumpkin Creatives tutorial bundle. That one's equally as beautiful and awesome. So those bundles are available on my blog, or just make a comment and I can help you out with getting those. Okay, what is coming up classes-wise here? Well, not right here in the in Seeing Ink Spots, but over in my VIP group is next week will be the Scenic Adventure Bundle. Oh, you guys, I just love this, this bundle. It's so cool. We're going to have a good time. We're going to do a lot of blending. So get your blending brushes ready for this one. This is Scenic Adventure. If you are not a member of the Backstage Pass, You can be. It's really, really easy. Today, you can earn a spot in the Backstage Pass by liking this video, sharing this video, and commenting to me that you did both of those things, and I will enter you into a drawing for some iridescent, I was going to say irresistible, iridescent pearls, basic jewels. I love these. And you're going to also win the cards from today. So I think that's a really cool little game we've got going on. So like, share, then comment that you've done that. And then I will enter you into that contest to win that prize. And I'll also enter you into my Backstage Pass. All right, so that is next week. The week, well, a couple weeks after, we've got a little break in there. This month's Technique Time stamp class, this is my biggest class of the month, will be with the Sunshine Vibes Suite Collection. You'll need the bundle, which is this one right here. And these dies are so charming. Hello, Tina. Good to have you here. Anyhow, this class, this is how you can also get into the Backstage Pass. If you sign up for this class, that enters you into my VIP group. And once you're in that group, there are classes almost every week. And it's just a good, fun community, stamp-based, where you can just have a good time looking at old videos and lots and lots and lots of photos. In fact, I just got a notification from Facebook that said my group is 5 years old. And I thought, wow, how did the time go by so fast? Anyhow, this class you can earn for free with a $75 purchase. So with a $75 purchase, you earn the Global Ink Collective tutorial bundle and the stamp class and membership into the Backstage Pass, and you earn rewards on that. So what a good time. What a good time for sure. Okay, I want to just give you a heads up of what's coming up in August. And in August, we will, because it is so gorgeous, we will take a look at the Perfectly Pairs Suite Collection. This is going to be so beautiful. We'll do some fancy folds. We're going to focus on some of that designer series paper. And with this distinctive style stamp set, we'll be doing a lot of direct to image blending. So that's going to be a good class. That will be in August. You'll need to register by the 19th, and it'll be the 28th. And let's see, also in August, even before that class, I should have put this in another order here, we will upstyle our Sweeter With You Paper Pumpkin Kit. This will be next month's kit, so it'll be right here. That's going to be cute. And today, full of charm. That's what we're looking to create with this kit today. So, all right, on with the show. Here we go. For our first project, we're going to take the card base here. And what I want you to do, if you're watching a replay, obviously you can't do this live, but go ahead and fussy cut this image out. In fact, I have this one left, but I have fussy cut my other two cards just because I'm like, oh, I have to do stuff with that, but I don't want it flat. And I didn't want to put the overlay on top. So I'm going to be fussy cutting that. And so I've done that ahead of time. And I have that right here. And as you can see, I even cut out in these areas. But don't think that I poked my scissors in there and did that. I actually have a cheat for you. And that is just cut right along one of those edges and work right in there and clip all of that out. Same thing here. Okay, so when you put it back together, you don't even notice that it's been clipped apart. Okay, so, and then save this side because we're going to be using this side on several different things. Okay, so let's start with this first card here. Let me get myself ready. And let's see what we're going to need. Obviously this piece, and we're going to use this card base here. And I just think this is pretty, so let's give it a quick fold and a burnish. Okay, all right. And then another piece that we're going to use is one of the round labels from the kit. And I don't know if you can see if my camera's going to pick it up, but look at those little stitched lines. I really like that little detail there. So let's do some stamping right off the bat. We're going to stamp the image from the set that says, "Let's Celebrate You." And I really enjoy the fonts in this Paper Pumpkin kit. And they actually coordinate beautifully with the Floral Charm Suite Collection. The bundle from that Suite Collection is called Charming Day. But just look how nicely the greetings from the Paper Pumpkin kit pair with this, all right? They're the same two fonts. You've got a sans serif, and then you have this handwritten script, which is really pretty. So I'm going to stamp this with the ink spot from the kit. Okay. Just tap, tap. Okay, and so we're just going to set this right in the center. Nothing tricky there. Hi, Jan. Sorry about the dogs. Hey. Oh, there are so many people walking by in my backyard. Go outside. Sorry, folks. I'm afraid it's going to go on like this. All right, so I'm going to set my piece down, and just to kind of give you a heads up, we're going to kind of go something like so, okay? It's kind of where we're aiming for. But before I actually kind of set this all into motion, what I'm going to do is add, and maybe I need to turn it just a skosh, maybe this way. Yeah, we'll do something like that. Well, no, I kind of like it there. All right, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to bring in a pencil and very, very lightly, whoops, I didn't mean to draw on my thing. Okay, I may have to take just a 20-second break to toss the dogs outside, if you know what I mean. So I am, hey, no. All right, so I'm just tracing a little bit around my two flowers that were kind of in these areas right in there, because what I want to do is bring in a little bit of Petunia Pop and some Timid Tiger. All right, now I could use Berry Burst because that is the color from the kit here, but it's kind of a scaled back Berry Burst right in here, and so that's why I'm going to head to the Petunia Pop. It's just a little bit softer color-wise. Okay, and I am going to stamp the floral image here. I just, this is so pretty. So we'll do the Petunia Pop since it's open. And so I kind of gave myself a little bit of a hint where that was. And so I'm going to just kind of bring this right in here and stamp right over the gold lines. Okay. And what's pretty is it's like an embossed resist. It almost looks like it's behind the lines, but it's not. Okay, so that was Petunia Pop. Timid Tiger. Timid Tiger, gosh, is this a pretty color. Such a pretty, pretty color. So I'm going to open this up, give this a quick clean. And I was a little reluctant to use Timid Tiger at first. And then once I started playing with it on things, I'm like, it's beautiful. Okay, so same thing. I'm just going to kind of reach this right up in here. Okay, simple, simple. Just some simple stamping using the kit. And then we've added those pieces in. Then we'll kind of come back in here and we can kind of see how things are coming together. I'm liking that a lot. I want to add some leaves in here now, and so I'm just going to kind of trace one more time because that's where I'm going to do some leaf work in there. Hi, Diane. Excellent to have you here. I'm going to use some Mossy Meadow. This is a former Paper Pumpkin spot, and it's not a very juicy one, so it's kind of giving me a fairly light image here, but I want a leaf right in there. And let's see, let's bring this back in. And once I start to kind of fill this in a little bit more, I almost feel like I don't need as many pencil lines, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to come in here with a little bit more stamping. Okay, I want 3 of these leaves eventually, just for a little balance. So I'm going to do one right in there. Okay. So I'm just going to turn and slip that right there. Hey, good morning, Jan. Thanks for the hello. All right, so that is where my pieces are going to go. And then I'm going to do just a little bit of, and I'm going to pull out my old olive Stampin' Blend here. And I'm going to do just a little bit, and I'm going to put these pieces on here. I'm going to do just a little splattering. I want my splatter to get on the flowers to give it a little bit of texture. And I want to soften this white just a little bit. That was old olive. And now I'm going to do just a little bit. This is one of the darker of the skin tones. This is the SU 100. And I'm going to go gentle on this. Just in a few places. And that will be it for that. And now let's assemble this. So we're going to assemble this with some dimensionals. Okay. Whoops. Oh, I felt like I took the backing right off and didn't have a dimensional, but I did. Okay, we're just going to pop this up all over. Stick one in there. So, just curious, for those of you in the United States, do you have fun plans for tomorrow? Barbecuing, neighborhood get-together, family. I am going to remove these pencil lines. I don't think they're really going to show, but I'm going to tidy up things anyway. And now we'll set this piece in here. And look how pretty we have a little dimension. See, I love this image up with some dimension rather than flat onto the card. And then we'll also pop this one up as well. And for this, rather than putting my dimensional here, I'm actually going to put it on my card here so that I don't, as I kind of set things in place, I don't collide with other leaves and things. My dimensionals don't get lopsided, if you know what I mean. Family and steaks on the grill. Gosh, a steak sounds really good right about now. Nice. That sounds awesome, Jan. We have a parade here tomorrow morning, so I'm going to go to the parade. And then after the parade, I'm headed out and down. I'm driving down to Salt Lake for a funeral. I'm going to add some of the gems from the kit here. A couple there, and then I'll do one more small, kind of up over in here. Hi, Susie. Okay, and there you have it. Well, I didn't even stellize, but we'll give it a little Stella splatter here. Last month, I forgot to bring her. I was just like, what? But there you have our first alternative, which really isn't, I just kind of did a little bit of my style of, I just kind of gave it some lift and added some stamping and some splattering. So keeping it simple, that's our warm up. But I wouldn't say this is a simple card, but it is really, really pretty. I like it a lot. Okay, there's number 1. All right. Hello, Claudia. Good to have you here. How are things going? We're going to use this card base again. I like this one. You'll notice last time I kept it a little more I used this side as the front. This time I'm going to use this side as the front. This one's a little more symmetrical than this side, but you know, just it doesn't really matter because the inside is blank. You can kind of put it whichever direction you like. But this next card I'm going to do is actually I'm borrowing a layout from Stampin' Up. We had an event in March called After Hours, and if you went to that, you got this little booklet, and some of the sketches in there are so, I just love them. But I'm going to reverse the sketch. They had this sketch so that this layout was kind of over here on this side. I'm going to put it on this side. So now you're looking at this designer series paper going, that's not from the kit. And it's not. This is some of the paper from the Floral Charm Designer Series paper that is part of the suite that coordinates with this kit. Now, I will tell you right now that this paper is gorgeous. I mean, it is so pretty. If you love flowers, it actually, it could be summer, it could be fall. It lends itself to both. Look, we're getting some likes on this paper. Yeah, I mean, these are the A sides, the B sides. You've got some wash, some floral prints. Some of the prints I don't even have anymore because I've used it all up. But look at that one is really pretty. Look, you've got some peacock. This one here totally kind of fits the feel of this particular die cut image. So we're going to use, whoops, just about dropped the paper. We're going to use this die cut on this layout here. But I'll show you more of the Floral Charm paper later on today. So I've already done a little bit of die cutting. Here's another piece that we're going to need. So here's kind of a mossy meadow wash, and the other side is that really cool floral. And so we'll kind of go there. So I've also used a piece of the navy, which has a floral print on the back. It is beautiful paper, Claudia. It is so pretty. You can see I've done a little die cutting ahead of time. So and let's see, where did I put them? Here they are, the Hugs Abloom Dies. Now, hopefully you have these Hugs Abloom Dies already. These were released for the April, May, and June. So they came out the middle of March, and these were the dies that have coordinated with April, May, and June's paper pumpkin kits. This little set has been like one of my favorite. I love the hugs. And I guess because, you know, it's like sending a paper hug. This really is, you know, a great image. Plus you've got a stitched label, leaf, and a floral. So I've done some die cutting ahead of time. Enough yammering. There's one of the flowers. You can see I did two of the flowers from the Timid Tiger. Okay. So I've got a couple flowers there we're going to use. And I've also done the leaf die a couple times out of the blue paper. It's not out of the blue. And let's use another one of these circles that has the stitched lines radiating around the edge from the kit. And one of the single little cute flowers here. And on my desk, well, here's what I was doing today is for today's class. I was using up different pieces of linen thread. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'll tie a bow or something and go, should I put that on there? And I'm like, nah, I don't want that with that. And so I end up with a stack of bows and things and cut pieces of linen thread and cord. And so this is a piece of the gold twisted thread. Long may it live. I'm sorry it's not any longer available, but I have 6 rolls, and so I'm still using it because it's pretty. It's super, super pretty. All right, so I'm going to start by attaching my pieces here, and we'll start with the piece of orange, and I'm just going to kind of set this right about there. Okay, and then this piece will go right underneath, and then we'll bridge the two together with the Mossy Meadow piece. So if it's not the exact, you know, I'm not touching, that's okay. Actually, I even like that with the gap in it. But we're gonna go ahead and layer this piece on top. We'll just bring it straight across. So I've used this layout a couple times because it kind of really really like it. And I have some glue right there. Now let me see if I'm straight. Pretty straight. Sometimes when you have the camera right above you, which is right there, I can't always see. Okay, good. Got rid of that little bit of glue. Now for our card here, we're going to add this piece, and it's going to kind of, we're going to have just kind of a you know, kind of a side cascading art piece right here. But I'm going to put that on with dimensionals, and I'm going to get some minis out. You guys know I've been out of minis for several weeks. Guess what I finally got? Got me some minis back in the house. Yay. All right, that's enough. And some of those. And now we'll just kind of do some bigger guys on the rest of this. Okay. So, just if you're wondering, the Full of Charm, I will be focusing on that bundle in September. I told you that August will be the Painterly pairs, but yes, we will have some Full of Charm. Well, not Full of Charm, but the Floral Charm. That will be our focus for September, my big class in September. So get it now while it's still in stock. Okay, now I'm going to add my greeting here. And my greeting, let's use the other, there's another cute one in here. It's this one that says Miss You. So let's use that one. And I think for this one, I am going to use Night of Navy. So this color right in here is Night of Navy. And so all of the colors that I'm using today, I have quite a few pulled. Well, not too many. 2, 4, 6. I have 8 colors here. And so I'm using them. They are from this kit or from the Floral Charm paper, which coordinates with this kit. Okay, so there's the Miss You. Okay. And this, we're going to kind of add right into that area right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on with dimensionals. However, what I'm going to do is, I know that it's going to kind of be right there. I'm going to double stack this one. Okay. And then I will single this, this side over here, because it's going to be up on that layer. So we're just kind of giving ourselves another layer of dimension here. So let me just see if okay. So, okay, easy, easy, easy. Now with my gold twisted thread, I'm going to tie a bow here. And it's a big bow. And I could almost get 2 out of this. Okay, so let me make this just a little bit smaller. Man, I feel like I should. I'm going to just kind of come off to the side here. Oh, guess who's finally taking a nap? The dogs. They've all said, I've had a busy morning wrestling, barking at people walking by. They're all crashed. Okay, so I'm going to tuck this one kind of right in there. So let me add a glue dot to that. And I'm just going to put a glue dot right on the knot. Excuse the arm. And we'll just slide this right under. I spoke too soon. Guess who's all... Oh, they all just jumped up. Okay, there's that. Make sure that that kind of caught onto something. Yep, it did. All right, now just to add these pieces in and have some fun, I'm going to tuck this one. I'm going to tuck this one, but I'm going to glue this one. So just a little bit of glue on the back. And this one is just going to kind of tuck underneath right in there. And let's do the same thing with this one. Actually, let's do these leaves first. Okay, so these leaves I'm going to tuck in here. And I'm going to do some minis on this. I'm going to do mini there, and there, and that should hold it in place. Just like that. Well, that kind of looks like, okay, there's that. And let's do the same thing with this one. Leaf. And hopefully this will not be lopsided. And I'm just gonna kind of tuck this one right in there. And just these last two pieces will come into play here. And so this one, I'm gonna kind of, and I wanna make sure that it's not at the same angle as this one. Even though that one's buried down just a little bit, I still don't want it to get a little wonky on me. Okay. Just kind of right in there, hugging that miss. And then this one, I'm just gonna kind of add right on top, right in there. I feel like I want this just a little bit higher. It's just coming a little too close to the miss, if that makes sense. I don't want it to feel like it's crowding it. I want it to go with it, you know, be next to it, but not to be too close. Okay, I'm giving this just a little bit of curl and whatnot, and we'll just kind of stack that right in there. And there you have the most of card number 2. Let's add some of these gems. I'm just going to keep adding these gems to my cards today until they're all gone. So I think I'm going to do one kind of, let's just kind of tuck some of these. We'll do what I call the hiding gems. Do another one right there. And then let's do one more. One more kind of down here. Okay. A little wink of Stella, just for some added shine here and there. Maybe even on the Miss You, just in a couple spots. Okay, and then a little Stella splatter. And our second card is done. And oh, I just about dropped a Night of Navy pad on my white t-shirt. I'm going to shut that one. All right, so there's card number 2. Let me hold this one up so you get a closer view of it. I think this is really a pretty card. And I love, this is a sketch from Stampin' Up. So, like I say, their sketch has it kind of just mirrored image, so I've just switched it up. So, pretty. I think that's really pretty. So, we've got 2 done. We are 2 down, and I've got lots more planned, so we'll see how far we get. All right, let's switch up the card base this time to this one here. And it's supposed to be a landscape card, but I'm going to turn it into, I'm sorry, it's supposed to be a portrait. I'm going to turn it into landscape. Okay, so I'm going to start with the large piece. Let me get the piece out. So this large piece here, it's supposed to kind of go like that, but I'm going to change it up just a little bit. And let me show you what I've done. I have already kind of pre-cut, and it's like just a few seconds of cutting. Okay, so it was like this, right? And I've just kind of clipped it apart. So you can see just kind of right there, went up, and then came down and then separated right there. So speaking of separating right there, you can see that has kind of a funny edge. So I'm just going to kind of clean that up just a little bit. Okay. And then by the time it has layers, you won't even notice it. But so that's what you're going to do with this large piece. And it's going to go, we're going to match the corners. We're going to put one in the corner here and one in the corner up here. All right, so that is going to be kind of the start of things. But before we do that, let me bring in a piece of scratch paper and my pencil. And I'm going to go ahead and give myself just a couple guidelines right there and maybe down here. I'm just doing a few of them. I'm not going to stamp this time. I am going to do a little ink blending because it is just such beautiful paper to do a little ink blending with. And so I am going to use the Petunia Pop again, and I'm going to put it on my brush. However, let me see, is this, yep, that's Petunia Pop. So I'm going to load it with some ink, and I can see I've got ink on the top, but I'm going to kind of offload because I want this to be really soft. And so here in these corners, I'm just going to include, and I'm trying to not get to the edge because I don't want to catch that edge, because then that edge will get a little dark. Do you know what I mean? When you catch the edge and it kind of emphasizes it. Okay, so just a little soft ink blending in here. And then when we put these pieces back on, just a little bit of that is peeking through. Okay, so just a little ink blending with Petunia Pop. I'm gonna close that before I have a wreck. And let's see, let's erase some of those pencil lines. That I think might show. It kind of erases my blending too, but I can always come back in and add a little bit more blending back. This is the one that I felt like was going to show. Okay, now I got to blend again. Hold on. There we go. Okay. And we'll add these with dimensionals. So let's see. I'm going to get both sizes out. So if you weren't here at the very, very beginning, I mentioned I am having a, if you like this video and share it with somebody and then comment that you've done that, I'm entering you into a contest for iridescent, I said that earlier, iridescent pearls and today's cards. So you could win all of those. And I think it's a fun prize, folks. So, oops, that's just the backing. I do that so often. All right, get down in there. Okay, let's get this show on the road with a few more bigs. All right. Some of these oddball shapes takes a lot of dimensionals. Holy moly. I'm gonna get one here and I gotta get one up there. Okay. Now that we have, you know, a bazillion dimensionals here, let's peel all these off. Hello, Adair. Okay, so Jan mentioned she's grilling steaks with family tomorrow. Anybody else? Anybody else doing anything cool? Traditions that you like to do? Okay, so there's that one. And now I'm going to slip this one kind of underneath and match it in this upper corner. And you're thinking, you've got a stem just flying there in midair. I do. But not to worry, because we're going to be setting a label over top. We'll have it come down a little further. And so that will kind of take care of that. And it won't look like it's floating in midair, if you know what I mean. So let's see what I've got for this. This is the label from the Hugs Abloom. Okay. And I've die cut it out of white. And I'm going to stamp it with one of the images here. This is going to be Happy Birthday Hugs. And so I'm just going to put it on my block. These stamps, I like to actually just kind of put them flat on paper and then pick them up with my block. That way I know I am not accidentally giving it a curve that it doesn't need. Okay, from a previous paper pumpkin, I have a pecan pie spot here. And I'm going to ink up the image. And you know, I've never stamped this image before, so I'm going to stamp it on scratch paper and kind of just, you know, sometimes it takes a little to get that ink to stick to the image just right. So there's the happy birthday. And I'm going to slip this over here in the upper right corner. There's happy birthday. And it's one of those images that you have to just barely touch because it is a delicate image. And then I have die cut the word hugs 3 times, twice in white and once in Petunia Pop. Look, I've got ink all over me already. This is the Petunia Pop. This is from the In Color Glimmer paper. This is in the Last Chance, and it has the Peach Pie, Petunia Pop, Summer Splash, Shy Shamrock, and Pretty in Pink. So there's the Petunia Pop, and it looks great with this paper. So that is in the Last Chance. You'll want to get that before it's gone. But I'm going to add that to my label, just kind of like that. Before I do that, though, I'm going to add a little bit of splattering, because this is just too, it's just too stark. So, and I think that's why I like to splatter, is just to kind of make things so that they're not quite so stark. And so that's just a gentle splatter of Berry Burst. Now I do the knocking on here. I know you've heard me say it a bunch. I used to do it and I'd flick in the cap, but that destroys your tips. This will help the integrity of your tip last a lot longer. Okay, so there was that. And I think I'm going to do a little Old Olive as well. Okay. That didn't need too much. Now I can come in and glue my hugs. And I'm just going to put some glue in a few places. I love, I think one of my favorite things are word die cuts, because I love how you can add dimension to your cards. I mean, it adds such cool, you can kind of go over things. I just really love them. I also love sparkle, if you haven't figured that out. And so this is a fun way to add it with a little, glimmer paper. Whenever glimmer paper comes out, I always buy it. That's no surprise, right? Okay, so there's the hugs. Oh, and look at that. I got glue all over. I don't even think there's glue on where it's supposed to be. But we'll just kind of wipe that right out so it doesn't show. Okay, so there's my piece. That's going to come in here, but we're not done. It is coming, and I like how it's coming around. In fact, it looks different than it did without having any of the blending on when I was mocking it up. And somehow I've gotten navy on stuff that I don't want navy on. Okay, I have 3 tiny pieces of paper here. These are less than 1/4 inch. They're about 3/16, and I have one in Old Olive, one in Pecan Pie, and one in Berry Burst. So when you have all those scraps laying around sometimes. And I'm just going to add those just to give my card a little bit of, just to kind of, it's nice. I do like it this way, and the blending sure helps things stand out a little bit more. But I just want it to have just a little bit of a stronger point of view. And so we're going to add these colors in here. And it doesn't matter what order you do them in. I think we're in a different order than what I said originally. But I'm just going to put one kind of right about there. There's one. And I'm going to do the Berry Burst in the middle just because it's kind of the strongest color. And I don't want it to pull focus. I want it to blend in just a little bit more. And so I am going to leave just a hairline of a gap in between. Ooh, Kathleen. So it's fun to see Kathleen pop on. Kathleen was the winner last month of my, sharing and commenting and all of that good stuff. And so she won a sweet little prize. So Rose Carey, she says, I love those little strips. It does give the statement. Yes, thank you for putting it much better than I said it, Rose. It gives the statement, it gives the greeting, it gives it just a little bit more, as she said, oomph. Now, hopefully I did them straight. And then we'll add our greeting right in there. And I also have, remember at the beginning, I said I have scraps of linen thread bows on my table here. This one was colored with Berry Burst. So it's linen thread colored with Berry Burst Stampin' Blend. And so this has been sitting as an, it's as an outcast. It didn't get put onto the card that it was supposed to go on. But I think I'm going to just kind of add it right in there just to give it just a little bit of more oomph. And so let me put that on. Let me add that with a little glue dot action here. And then we'll add the greeting. So I'm going to just kind of tuck that right about there. And then this piece is going to go right on top. Maybe this needs to be a little higher than what I just did. Yeah, I didn't put it in the right spot. Go figure. Okay. All right, and let me put this on with some dimensionals. Just like that. And there you have it. And see, that funny stem is gone. It's no longer an issue. What my issue is right now is I feel like I'm colliding with the linen thread there, but I'm not. It just feels, okay, I know what's going on. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm not going to put any gems on this one. I just feel like I want the word hugs. That's kind of my gem, if that makes sense. That's my sparkle. And there you have card number 3. So the name of the game of this one was just to cut that apart and just kind of use it in a different direction. All right, moving right along. Let's see, what are we doing next? Oh, I think what I'm going to do is revisit our first card. So we're going to do a variation on the first card. So let me bring this one back in. What you're going to do is go ahead and cut everything out, okay? And so on my first card, you saw that I cut the whole thing out and it was one piece. This time what I've done is I've cut out the pieces, but I've cut all of the pieces apart for the most part, all right? So now I can kind of rearrange all of these flowers into my own arrangement, okay? So I have all of these cool pieces that I can arrange and do things with. And I'm going to use a card base here. And so this one, let's just give it a fold. I'm just going to kind of push these off to the side. Give this a fold and a burnish. And then I'm using one of these labels. So this is a stitched label. It's kind of got a pretty peacock stitching on it. And so let's give this a stamp while we're here. And I'm going to stamp it with the Let's Celebrate You. And I am going to stamp with, the Pretty Peacock, the spot. I was deciding if I wanted Pretty Peacock or Berry Burst. I think I'm going to do the Pretty Peacock. We'll kind of play up the stitching line with this color. And I'm just going to kind of stand that up on its points and stamp that right in the center. Cool. Done. Okay, so I have that. And then I am going to do some stamping just on white paper. So just basic white or white willow, whichever one you like. And I'm going to stamp some of the images here. So here is this pretty, you know, and I don't even know if it's floral, if it's foliage, but I'm going to stamp it in Petunia Pop. Okay, just kind of right in there, like so. And I'm going to stamp it again in, well, and I may not use it. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm going to stamp it again in the Timid Tiger, kind of like we did with the first card. So this time we're going to take this, we're going to kind of make some different layers with stamped images rather than just stamping on the card base, which I like stamping on the card base, but just going for a slightly different look. Okay, that was Timid Tiger. Now I want to do some ink blending with the large leaf here. And I'm going to use some kind of colors that you would think that is not a leaf color, but Basic Beige has a lot of green in it. I mean, look at all that green. You can see it right there. So with Basic Beige, I'm going to ink up my leaf. And with Lost Lagoon, so we're going to kind of play up this here and the Pretty Peacock, because Lost Lagoon is kind of a scaled back version of Pretty Peacock, right? So I'm going to take just a little bit of Lost Lagoon in a blending brush, and I'm just going to kind of tap in some of the areas, not the whole thing. And we'll just stamp that. But look how pretty. Look how pretty that two-tone image is. So let's do the same thing. Let me do a quick cleanup here. And my fingers must have ink on them. So here goes the Basic Beige. And this time we'll pounce in a different area. So how many of you use Basic Beige very often? See, look how pretty. So pretty. A little bit more Basic Beige. This time we'll tap it on the end. Okay, so I've just got myself some extra leaves and as well as some of those. And what I want to do is fussy cut those out. And I've done that ahead of time. So if you love to fussy cut, then this is a card for you. If not, do the first version that I was showing. So here I have my Petunia Pop, my Timid Tiger, and my 3 leaves. These aren't too hard to fussy cut. They actually go pretty fast. You know, just turn some music on, have some fun. Okay, so what I want to do now is just kind of dry fit all of my pieces together. So I'm going to start with my greeting. We'll put a couple dimensionals on that. And my greeting is going to set kind of, so this is going to be a very similar layout. In fact, let me bring that first card back. It's going to be similar, but there will be some differences. You know, it's just a chance to kind of explore and, you know, manipulate and do things and have some fun. We've got a different background. We're going to change the setup of our leaves and flowers here. So I'm going to start. And I'm going to put this guy towards the back, kind of where that one is. But now with this one, he's going to come in and come on that side. And I'm going to lay in a little bit of my sprays here. And these may or may not stay. We'll see. This piece is going to kind of come into here. And let me get these other big guys. I love the color, the two-tone color in this one. I'm going to go ahead and maybe wiggle this one around just a little bit. This one can come in here. So you can kind of see how this is, you know, looking just a little bit different. And then we'll tuck all of our foliage and things back in. And then add in our stamped foliage as well. Just for some variety of color. And, you know, just kind of have some fun. Place them wherever you like. Maybe kind of pull up in there. And so that's how this one's going to kind of come together. So it looks a little bit different than the original, but I think it's kind of fun. It's pretty. So I'm going to start with my anchor piece. And that's this one right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and try and, I'm going to wiggle these out of the way for just a second, but I'm going to put this one on, and maybe that will pick up this piece right there. Look at that. And now we'll put this one on. I am going to put a lot of these on with dimensionals. Okay. And I'm just going to wiggle the leaves and things out of the way for right now. Because I can tuck those leaves. That's just going to kind of fill that little area right in there. And then let me do this piece. So basically what I'm doing is the pieces that were part of the original die cut, they are almost ending up being the pieces that are going to be lifted up, and the stamped pieces are going to kind of set in the background just a little bit. I'm going to wiggle this one down just a little. Oops, my dimensional didn't come with it. I'm going to wiggle this one down just a little bit because I do want to play this one up in here. Actually, I'm going to turn this. There we go. That way more of this leaf is going to show. And then this one here, I'm going to put the dimensional on the card so that then I can kind of set that and they're not colliding. And then that one will set in there. Yeah, just like that. You tuck under. And then this one, we're going to set up in there. And I'm going to glue this one because this one is glued. So I want another image at that level, at that layer, if that makes sense. Okay. And where's my minis? There they are. I'm going to put this on. And then these last leaves, so this one's going to kind of pop right up in here. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And this guy, he's going on with a leaf. I mean, the leaf is going on with the dimensional. Holy moly. And that's going to kind of come out right in here. And then we'll glue these last leaves. Ooh, that was a lot of glue. Oh, well. I'm not quite sure where this one was. I think it was underneath. Okay, there's that one. And then we had this one kind of right in here. And then I'm going to do one more. I think right about in there. And this one's going to go in a little further. Okay. And we'll add some gems and a little finishing touches. I'm going to give these just a little bit of curl, just so they're not quite so flat to the page. There's that. Let's add gems. And so you decide if you want to cut it apart and make your own thing, or if you want to, you know, have some fun. Let's see, where do I want to put these? We'll do another one here. Or if you want to cut it apart and kind of redesign and kind of lay things out a little bit different than what is there, right? So let's add some, I'm going to come in with the darker color here and just soften these white areas with a few little splatters. And then of course, I always like to add that second color. It just adds a bit more dimension. And Stella. Okay, there you have it. So just a slightly different look, but very similar. Terry, hello, Terry. So excellent to have you here. So there is kind of two versions. So our first one was a little simpler, and then this one, cutting things apart and making our own little bouquet. All right, we're gonna switch it up entirely and kind of go with a completely different look this time. For our next card, I am going to use, if you remember, so we've cut two of these apart and had these. So here's one of the extra pieces from the side. So we're gonna use one of those. We're also going to use this piece here, okay? And from the kit, I also have this piece that we'll be using. And I'm gonna bring in a piece of early espresso. So I'm gonna kind of pick up on some of this right in here. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So simple, simple, simple. Nothing fancy on these folds today. Well, I do have a fancy fold, but anyhow. And then I have a piece of, this is Mossy Meadow, but it's actually part of the Designer Series paper. And I have die cut a rectangle. So I'm going to be using the Textured Notes rectangle dies for this card. So I've already die cut that one, but I'm going to be using this one as well once I get my focal point finished here. And let's see. So let me just kind of set a few of these things aside because we're going to start with this piece here. And what I want to do is look at this, and I think I'm going to turn it so that these two leaves are up in here, okay? So what I'm looking at is I'm going to be chopping this in half, okay? So I'm kind of looking at where I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to cut it right there, okay? So let me bring my chopper in. Happy Chopper has arrived. So, and I don't need this piece here. It was just kind of being my guide. So we're just going to take that. And now I have these two pieces just like so. I'm going to take these and I'm going to kind of set that right there. And then this one, let's set it so it's on the entire piece of paper. Okay. And this one here, I'm just going to set right like that. Okay. Something like that. I'm actually going to set this one just a little bit higher. Okay. So now that I have those, what I want to do, I'm going to tape these down for just a second so that they don't move. And I'm not going to tape them down a lot, just a little, just a wee little bit right there. And we'll tape this one down like right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my pencil back in and I'm going to kind of draw the insides of the flowers, not all of them, but just enough so I can tell where there's flowers and where there are leaves. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So this is a big leaf. And this is flower right up in here. And this is leaf. Same thing, let's get these flowers. This is flower, flower, leaf. So just barely, you know, I'm not sketching the whole thing, just where things kind of differentiate. So I can tell where things start and stop. Okay, and I'll have to kind of keep this nearby so that it will be a, you know, it'll help me out here. And I think I'm going to add just a couple more lines if I can. And that would be this one right here. Okay. That makes a world of difference. Okay, so I just kind of have some funny little sketch lines in there. And I'm going to bring in all kinds of color now. So I'm going to start with basic beige. Okay, so let me, basic beige blending brush. Load that up. And I'm going to kind of offload that stark first. And I'm just going to gently, where there are leaves, I'm just doing a little bit of swirling of color. I'm not laying down, I'm not giving it a huge amount of pressure. If it goes out of the lines, that's actually cool. And I'm kind of looking for that in a way. And let's see. These are leaves as well. Kind of have to bring your piece in just to remind yourself. I'm gonna get just a little bit more ink going. So feel free to come out of the lines, but you're trying to put that color, lay that color down where your images were. Now I'm going to switch it up to, let's see, I have, what color brush is this? That's pecan. Here's my orange. So let me get my Timid Tiger. And where my flowers are. So I have a flower right there. And go ahead, and if it blends into the beige, that's totally okay. But there's a little Timid Tiger, and I'll do a Timid Tiger down in here. If it comes out, that's part of the coolness of it. And I'm going to lay this back down. So you can kind of see where we're headed. Okay, so I'm going to do these. So I have these flowers right in there. I'm going to do those as Timid Tiger as well. Nothing too difficult here. The hardest part of this is getting some nice even blending rather than that right there. But even when you saw when I put my stuff over top, it didn't really matter. Okay, let's add some Petunia Pop. Okay, kind of knock that strong part of the color off. And then just kind of blend into your other colors there. And now when we load this back on, we can kind of give it a look and see where we might need to add just a little bit more color. But isn't that pretty? And it's fine that it comes out the edges. It doesn't bother me at all. I think I might even come blending down into that a little bit, just to give this foliage a little bit of a backdrop. So this is my basic beige. My basic beige is way over here. Okay, so I'm gonna do just a little bit more right in there. A little bit more right in there. And that is going to be the top part. Whoops, that's the bottom one. I'm like, whoa, those don't meet up at all. Okay. So, whoops. Sorry about that, folks. I think it's pretty. Kind of pretty. All right, let's do the same thing. Oh, Jan, thank you so much. Jan is entered in. Okay, so we've done some floral here. Now let's take a look at this. Okay, just kind of have to remind me what's where. So this big rose right here is going to be the Petunia Pop. Okay, we've got some more of the Timid Tiger right in there. And then that's going to be basic beige. I feel like my beige is lightening up on me. All right, so let's take a look at this piece. Okay, I'm gonna get some more beige down here on this bottom side. And then we're gonna die cut this. Okay, that is my blending. But now what I want to do right now, and I wanted to do the blending first because I didn't want the blending to get down into the nooks and crannies of this textured notes die. So we're just gonna put this on right to the top. And remember, so yes, I'm cutting some off. That's totally okay. And so I'm gonna put this in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which is over here to my side. Hopefully I made sense about why I blended and then die cut. I didn't want the stitching lines to be, I didn't want them to upstage the floral work in the die cut. And it didn't cut right there, which is a bummer. Sometimes, see, I went straight through like this. I didn't have it at an angle. So when you go straight through like this, it only has a second when it's on that roller. Put your rectangles on an angle and they will cut a little simpler for you, because now I have to do just a little chopping to get rid of that little piece. So right there, that's what the happy chopper is for. I love this little cutter. It stays right on my cart next to me. Comes in handy. Okay, so now this piece is going to come into here, and we're going to bring our two die cut pieces that we've chopped in half. They're going to come in here. And so this is our top one. We're just going to let it lay over just like that. If it's coming off the edge, I quite like that. We'll trim it in a minute. Not these sides, but maybe these right in there I would trim. And then let's take a look at this one. Perfect. I like the leaves coming over. Those pieces will need some trimming. So let's just glue these on. And I'm just going to add glue in a few places. I'm not going to do it everywhere. Just where there's some larger spots where we know we can get some glue down. Without it coming out the sides all crazy. And in a few spots, we do have to do some of these, but just go in, be easy. Okay. So I'm going to take this off of the brown for right now. Let's just add this one on. Okay. And I can see where I'm going to do just a little bit of chopping. Totally okay. Same drill with this one. That's way more glue than what it needs. Sometimes when I squirt too much out in an area, I'll use my tip to pick it up and move it over. Okay. So I'm just trying to kind of line up with my original little lines that I was drawing. Or close to it. Okay. And so, yeah, you can see I've got some little trimming to do. But let me let that glue set up for just a second. Grab my little chopper back in here. And we'll give this a trim. I'm actually going to do it upside down. I can see it better upside down. Okay, and then that corner I feel like is okay. Let's do this one. All right, look at that piece. Isn't that cool? I think it's pretty, pretty pretty. My boss used to say that a lot. Pretty pretty, pretty pretty. Okay, so there is that. And let's see, we're gonna layer this onto our piece here. And we have our pieces. These are going to come into play. We're going to do some layering in here, but I'm also going to bring in some linen thread. Let's see, here's some linen thread. So I'm going to start, before I put this on my card base, I'm going to wrap my piece here with linen thread, and I'm going to go around a couple times. Okay, and let me make this end a little longer, sorry. Okay, so we're going to go around a couple times. We'll give this a tie. Okay. Okay. I think I'm going to come over here to this side. A little bit more. So we'll just kind of give this a tie here, and then I'm going to add my greeting. My linen thread isn't very tight, but that's okay. It's a very curly roll of linen thread. And I like the curls, don't get me wrong. But sometimes they're a little unruly. Okay, so there's my linen thread. Let's turn this over, add some dimensionals, and set this on our card base. So curious, how many, when you're layering a layer like this, how many dimensionals do you use? Well, none of those were dimensionals. Do you do more? I'm going to leave it at that. Just curious. And do you use the whole sheet? Some people throw this outer edge away. I'm like, what? That's a gold mine. Okay. Just getting a few things out of my way. All right. And then this is just going to center onto our card base here. So nothing too wild and crazy. Just like so. And then in the kit there, this one says happy birthday, but we're going to use the one that says to a wonderful friend. So it's on this side. And I'm going to stamp that with, I think I'm going to stamp it with Berry Burst. Just to kind of bring up these flowers. You could stamp with early espresso, or gosh, you could do the pecan pie, or you could, you know, early to pick up some of the lighter browns in there, or the pretty peacock. But I kind of wanted a different color against this pretty peacock little label here. So to a wonderful friend. Rose says she does use the whole sheet of dimensionals, and she uses about the same. Okay, good. Well, Rose and I think alike. Okay, so these two pieces are going to layer together, but let's kind of come in here to our, you know, are they going to come here? Are they going to come over here and be down here? It's kind of different. I also have two of the, so this is actually one. I've just cut it apart. I don't remember. I think it goes like this. So this is one of the die cuts from the kit, but I kind of like the white side, and I didn't know if I was going to or not. We'll see. I'm thinking not. Oh, I kind of like it though. Is kind of accenting the greeting just a little bit with some of the foliage. Just like so. I kind of like it. I like that little pop of white. And so let's do that. Lynette chops hers, no wasting. Yep, I use every little bit too. Okay, so let's just start to put these together. I'm going to put dimensionals on these. I'm going to have these little white leaves kind of pop up just a little bit. Not a ton. And I kind of really like the white side of these leaves. Okay, so this is just going to kind of tuck under Go right about there. I'm not going to press down too hard just yet because I'm not 100% convinced. Okay. So if I have never, I've said this before, and some of you already know, when I do these cards for Paper Pumpkin, I actually kind of lay them out, but I've never made this card before. I have kind of a sketch that I'm going off of. And so that's why I say I'm never 100% sure of what exactly it's going to look like and how it's going to finish. But we'll get the idea. But I'm going to have this kind of run. Oh, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Holy moly. Got to take off the backings or it's never, ever going to stick. Okay, so curious. Okay, another question for you guys then. Not so much about dimensionals, but the Full of Charm. How many of you are thinking of getting that? Would you be interested in a class in that? Just curious. I think I'm going to set this off to the side just a little bit more, and I'm going to glue this one. I think the Floral Charm Suite Collection is gorgeous. So I definitely am thinking that a class is needed for sure, so that we can really dive into all the luxurious floral prints. Oh, cool, Claudia. September is what I'm thinking. So this month is the rainbow, sunshine vibes. Next month would be the pears. And then September would be the Floral Charm. Okay, I'm going to try and tuck this a little further in. Like so. All right, let's finish it with some of these. We got to use this by the end of class, and I only have a few more cards here. So I'm going to start loading them up. Oh, glad you like it, Maggie. So many different colored backgrounds. I know you could go in any direction. I just kind of went this direction to kind of just stick with the direction that the card, you know, where the colors of the kit, if you know what I mean. Okay, so we're just going to add some gems here and there. Let's see. Let's do another one right up in here. And let's get a little Stella action going here. I feel like my greeting is, well, maybe it's not. I feel like it's crooked, but it's not. Okay, so I need to prime her just, oh, there we go. Get that sparkle action. And I'm thinking that it also needs some splatter action. Just to kind of soften the white. How many of you guys like to splatter? For me, splatter equals a little character. So there you have it. I think it's a fun one. I still can't tell if that's, I'm going to have to evaluate that when we finish, where I don't have a camera in my face, to make that straight. Because these are going home with somebody. These are going to be sent to somebody's home. All right, let's do, I got another one here. This time, we're going to use this card base. And you might notice that I've already done a little bit of hole punching because I was experimenting. And so this is an experimental card. And I'm going to use, you could use linen thread, but I'm going to use the gold twisted thread. And I'm going to use this piece here. And so I'm going to set this in place. It's going to go there. Freckles, that's right. Rose calls them freckles. She freckles her stuff. Freckles and speckles. Terry likes the splatter too. You know, sometimes these trends come and go and you wonder, well, how long will it come? When does it go? Okay, I'm gonna kind of hold this in place, open this up, and I'm gonna draw a little dot of where I've put a notch in my card already. And you'll see what these notches are gonna be for in just a minute. So on this back side, I'm just gonna take, this is just a tiny little hole punch. I'm taking a bite, just a little half circle bite, right out. Okay, can you see that? So I've already done, and I'll show you where I did it on my card. Okay, so here is my card front. And what I've done is I've put a notch here and here. Okay, so they're in the same, so if you're looking at these lines, it's in this second opening. Same thing here, second opening, second opening. Okay? Oh, well, thank you, Annette. I appreciate it. Okay, so here's where I'm like, is this gonna work? Okay, so I need to put this on first. I'm gonna put this on with dimensionals, but I also think I want to have a little bit of blending on here. So here's my petunia pop, and so I'm gonna do just kind of a little down in here, coming around. Yeah, see how that just brings just a little bit of lift and life to things? And we'll kind of come up in here as well. And I hope you noticed that I didn't add any extra ink to the brush. I just kind of used what was there. Now I'm going to add this with dimensionals. Then I'm going to do kind of a weaving, not a weaving, but just kind of a wrap of the linen thread. Okay. A few of those spots so it doesn't sag and bag. Oh, lots of dimensionals. All right. It's not going anywhere, but it's also not going to flatten out on me anywhere either. Okay, so just pull this plethora of covers off. Okay. Okay, so how many of you bought more than one kit of this or have bought the refill? Just curious. Okay, so now let's just put this on the side. Okay, there it is. All right, so here's where I'm hoping this works. I'm going to start, and I'm going to kind of go over there, and I'm going to come up and around, and then, and this may take me a second to figure out where it needs to finish. I may need to start in a different spot. But from what you can see now is I'm basically kind of doing a crisscross and playing up the lines here that are on my that are on the card base. I'm like, what are those? Eunice, you bought 2 refills. Cool. Cool, cool. All right. So I need to make this a skosh longer. So we're going to do it again. I'm just going to start longer. But you're adding it to your cart. Oh, nice. Nice. Okay, let me see. I'm going to start in a different spot. Let's see what happens here. Okay. You know, sometimes we have these bright ideas, and sometimes they work, and sometimes they don't. Okay. Okay, this is what I'm going for. I just feel like it got really long. Okay, get that notched in there. You could also do this instead of like taking a little half circle notch. You could do it just with a slit and then, you know, slip that linen thread or whatever thread you're using right through the slit. That would be pretty cool. Then it wouldn't show any little gaps. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this is making sense. It kind of looks like a mess at the moment, but once I tie this down, you'll go, oh, I see what she did. Ah. Okay, it looks a little off right now because that's our knot is not where it needs to be. We need to kind of converge right in there. Oh, we're so close, so close, and yet so far away. Ah, I did it. Okay. I got it there. Okay, we are super, super close. There we go, right there. There you have it. You guys, it's kind of cool. I had no idea what it was going to look like. Okay, woohoo! All right, so I took my cue from the card base itself. And yeah, I'm way lopsided, but I don't care. I finally got there. Okay, so pretty and something totally different. Let's even up our ends here. Okay. Now, I don't know what the rest of the card looks like. What am I planning? Oh, okay, now I know, now that I see my pieces. I have a few more pieces of strips of paper. These are even narrower than the ones I did earlier with the Hugs card. This is going to be another Hugs card, but I have a piece of gold foil and berry burst. Yes, Annette, I need one more hand. That would be awesome. And I'm going to run them right up the side there. And I have one of the tags here. I'm not exactly sure where that's going to land. And I've cut the word Hugs from gold foil and 2 pieces of white. And so that's on there. And then my plan was, and I may not even need these, but I was going to add these in, kind of tuck them in here and there. But I feel like I don't need them. I kind of like it just being left alone, you know? Okay, I'm not going to, but these are the peacock ones, and I was going to use the white side, but well, we're going to put those on something else. All right, so let's just finish this one up. And where did my flowers go? Oh, here's one. Where's the other one? I also had, I had flower, and that's what I had. And so I was going to do flower and a leaf, and I'm missing a flower. Oh, well. But I think I'm just going to leave it be. And we're just going to, less is more. Remove the duck. Okay, so let's add this to our tag. How many of you guys know the story about remove the duck? It's kind of the same as when Coco Chanel said, do a spin and remove the first thing you see, accessory-wise. Okay, Rose says, leave it alone. Okay. Coach says to leave it alone. I will. Less is more. So remove the duck. When I worked for Opera San Jose, way back in the day, there was a set designer. His name is Joe Raggi. And he and the director would stand in the house and look at the set. They would look at the set for each act, and they'd say, okay, we got to remove the duck. And it was the element that was just like sticking out that wasn't necessary. It was typically a piece of furniture. And so the phrase began, remove the duck. Okay. Just those two added lines I think are kind of pretty. And then we'll just add this. I kind of almost am tempted to just kind of let that bow. Usually I'm like, oh, it's got to coordinate, but I kind of like it up over in here, allowing that to kind of be its own little focal point. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that on with a dimensional. Oh, my fingers are so sticky. Leave it alone in all caps. Tell me how you really feel. Okay, just something like that. Let's do some Stella splatters because we can and we should and we love to. I'm just curious, is there anybody out there that hates sparkle? I mean, gosh, I put it in my fingernail polish. I'm way too old for metallic eyeliner, eyeshadow, but I wear it anyway because I like it. And it's for me, right? I'm going to do some berry burst on here. Just a little berry burst, not much, but just a little. Just to kind of soften the white. There we go. Just little bits here and there, here and there. Pretty. And totally different. Completely and totally different. I kind of like it. I think if I were to do it again, I would do the slits. You know, so that those don't quite show as much. All right. It would also hold them in place better. You know, because I had to get a little fumbly with it. All right. I have two more. Do we have time for two more? Let's see if we do. Okay. So, oh, I love this next one. Okay, so, all right. We need some white paper. We are going to stamp. I'm now bringing in the big guns here. This is the Charming Day stamp set. And this is a cling mount set, which means it is red rubber. Okay, and these pieces are gorgeous. We're going to use this one right here. And so this is the Charming Day stamp set. And then I have the dies as well. This is the bundle. The two together make the bundle. You can see there are some really cool standalone pieces. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 standalone pieces, and then 3 pieces that coordinate with the stamped images. So let me bring that one out, because that's going to coordinate with this one right here. And we're going to stamp with Night of Navy. Just right here. And we're going to stamp it 3 times. Once. Hopefully I have enough room for 3. If not, I already have them stamped and die cut already, but trying to be official here and give you the full look. Okay, 3 of those. All right, and we're going to do a technique I did a while ago, but I love this little technique. So I'm going to use some Mossy Meadow and some Timid Tiger, and I'm going to use just a blank block. So here's just a block, and I'm going to tap my block into a little Timid Tiger, and I'm going to tap my block or the spot onto my block. There's some Mossy Meadow. You can do this with any color you want, and I like this. I am going to, dropping blending brushes. I'm going to do a little bit of painting here. Okay, so you saw the 3. I'm not going to paint this one. I'm actually going to, I have a couple more here to do. So here's one, and here's the other. And so what I did, come here you. Okay, so you can see how this just, it's a super simple die cut. Because of the asymmetry, it's a real easy one to match up. But you're just going to run those through. So I've die cut 3 already. And I'm going to paint these with my Wink of Stella. And I love this effect because what it does when you paint it, it kind of, when you add Stella to this, it's almost like, I'm going to call it the Stella Sizzle. Because when you get it down in there, it goes, zzz, it looks like it's sizzling, but what it's doing is it's actually sparkling. It's like it's effervescent. And I'm just going to kind of do my darker color right towards the center and then pull it out just as if I were blending. Okay. A little darker there. And then kind of bring this out. And if I leave some white spots, I'm good with that. Okay. There's that one. Let's do this one. I like that, the Stella Sizzle. That's what I'm going to call this technique, even though it's just paint with your wing of Stella. Effervescence, yeah. So I'm not a huge soda pop, but I love carbonated waters and things. Highly carbonated, right? And let me tell you, it's got to be cold before you open it or you lose your sizzle, right? And it's got to be, it's just poured slow and sideways like a beer. Pour it like a beer, my friend would say, because then it doesn't lose its fizz. I love fizz. And when you kind of pour it too fast or it's warm and you pour it, it totally loses it. I'm like, no good. Okay, so a switch to Mossy Meadow. I'm just kind of pulling that color out. Now you guys know way too much about me. That I'm a snob about how my drink is poured. Okay, so this is the Mellow Moss, and I'm actually going to go ahead and put a little bit of that Mellow Moss in the center as well. Just kind of pull that through the leaves here. And you're probably wondering, hey, where's your other one? I already had it done ahead of time. I thought, oh, you don't need to see me do a whole bunch of that. Okay. So pretty. Okay, there we have it. The Stella Sizzle. Okay, there it is. Those are painted. Now let's see what we're going to use here. We're going to use a card base. And we're going to use one of the pieces from the kit, this big guy right here. And I'm going to rotate it this direction this time. I have a greeting label here from the kit. And let's see, I'm going to do the Let's Celebrate You. I just really like that greeting. And I'm going to stamp with the Night of Navy. Oh, one of the dogs needs water. She's just staring at the bowl. Okay, you got to wait a minute. Okay, there's Let's Celebrate You. And we'll get rid of this before we get it into something. And also from the kit, a couple more of these flowers. There are 3 of those. To me, I would have liked 6. And I've gone to the Hugs Abloom and cut a couple Timid Tiger flowers. And from the kit, we have some of the Garden Green, Old Olive. They're kind of a weird color. I'm not exactly sure what color they are. And on my scraps on the desk of a bazillion different tied bows, this one happens to be from the Natural Linen Thread, and it's the Garden Green. So we're going to use that up. And now it's not just going to be sitting on my desk doing nothing. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay this out where I want to put this, which is right about there. And I'm going to come in with this piece here, and I'm going to glue it. I'm actually going to use the green side this time. And I'm going to kind of leave the tips to where they're not glued down tight, because I kind of want it to, a little organic dimension. We're going to do 2 of these. I'm going to do one up and one down. And so this one is going to kind of set right in there. And then the other one, we're going to flip it upside down and it'll come around in there. So we've kind of got an S shape working on this one. An S curve. Man, it all of a sudden got super hot in my house. It's like, it's supposed to be over 100 and something today. I'm like, yep. Okay, let's flip this over, put dimensionals on it. And I'll do a mini right there on this end. Okay, so this one, we'll set this on right about there. Oh man, did I set that in glue? I did. What a ding dong. Okay, and I don't really have a whole ton going right there. Okay. Getting rid of my mistake. Okay, so now I'm going to add my flowers in here. I'm going to pick the one that looks the best. This one probably is the best. Nope, this one is. I got a little off. All of these I cut a little bit off. Well, but these are just going to kind of tuck in here. And I'm not hiding them, but I just kind of, I don't want them to be like, wow, in your face. I just kind of want everything to just kind of settle together, if that makes any sense. So nothing is like, everything just kind of blends. So we're going to kind of come in here, and then these last pieces are going to decorate this other side. And so this piece here is going to kind of come in like that, which means that has to change its angle because we can't have it the same direction. And then I've got a couple flowers coming in here. And, oh, there's my other flower that I was looking for earlier that I never ended up using. And then this one, we're going to tuck this one way under in here. Of course, I have a dimensional in the way. And then this one's going to kind of tuck up in here. So we kind of have something like so. But let me get it all put together. We'll start with the greeting. Right about there. Let's get it on straight. And then we'll tuck this on in there. Going to my glue dots. Oops. Hold. Come on. Third time's a charm. Tell it who's boss. Okay. Right in there. Tuck that. Cool. I like using it up, you know, it's kind of nice to give things a home rather than them just sitting on your desk or eventually going, this has been sitting here too long, it's going in the trash. I think I'm going to kind of come in like that. There's that one. And let's put our layer on here. Get this looking just right. Okay, and we'll glue this one inside. See, I want some of that orange to show so that I've got, and this is kind of a nice, I like this layout right in here. We'll glue this one. It's a lot of glue, so I'm just going to kind of share with the neighbor here. This is going to tuck. I'm going to try and tuck even under. There we go. And this one. Right in there. And then these last two are, I'm going to give them just a little bit of curl. And then we'll put a mini on these. And do one that kind of tucks under in here. And then this last one is going to kind of come up in here. Oh, I found the spot. Sometimes it takes a minute to get it just to where you want it. And then we'll hit these two because there's so much sparkle on these other flowers. I'm going to give these two a little sparkle and shine. And just a little splatter because it already has a lot of shine, a lot of glisten. But let's do a little bit of some brown. Do I want brown? No, I'm going to do olive. I did bring blue out. This is Misty Moonlight. Let's just do a little. Pretty light-handed with these darker colors. And then we'll do a little olive. That one I know I can hit just a little bit harder. And let's see, we have some gems. These are the sequins from the kit here. So let me just add a few of these. So where to put them, Let's do like one right in there. We'll do another one there. I'm going to tuck this one a little further under. There we go. And we'll do another small. Let's just do one kind of right. We're going to come right over into here. And get that one under as well. Okay. So pretty. I love this one. I hope you like this one. I think it's really pretty. It's different. Okay, I have one last one. And this one, let's see, do we have time? All right, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. So this is a piece of the designer series paper that coordinates with this. This is the Floral Charm DSP. It is 12 inches by 5.5. So 12 by 5.5. And we're going to do some scores on this. So I'm going to open up the arm of my trimmer here. And my first score line is going to be at 2 1/4. Okay? So 2 1/4 is my first score line. Get your cutting blade out of there. Okay? And remember, you're scoring designer series papers, so don't be too rough. Coming in for the second one at 6 inches. Okay? And then the last one, which could almost even be the first one, depending on which direction you're doing it, is at 10 1/4. All right. So there are my score lines. And this is just kind of an accordion fold up, and it goes actually this direction. So we've got one there. So this area right in here, this is 4 1/4. And then this one's going to fold in. So you've got, what you end up with is this nice stripe down the middle of your card. Okay. So let's go over those folds. So the first fold, you're going to fold in. Okay. And burnish that. Then your second fold is also an in or valley. And then your last fold is a mountain. So valley, valley, mountain. And there you have your fold. Okay, now I also have some paper here. I have a 1/4 sheet of white, and that is going to be for the inside of the card. And for time's sake, I'm going to stamp it, but I'm probably not going to stamp it to right here. But I would use these images and do something pretty. It'll be up on my page tomorrow, on my Facebook page tomorrow. So that'll be the inside, just for time's sake. And here's another half of one of the card bases that, remember, so this right here. So I've cut 2 of them out entirely and used that. And so now here's the second piece. And so this piece is going to sit on top. This piece is 3 3/4 by 5. Let me just double check. Yep. Okay. So it's 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. We're going to do the same thing on this one that we did with our other one. Only this time we're going to flip it upside down. And I think it's going to go this direction. And we're going to just kind of spyball. And I'm going to pull this out of the way for now. We're going to use Basic Beige again. and Petunia Pop, and we're gonna do some more ink blending, just like we did. And I think I might even do a little bit of Pecan Pie, just to kind of pull up the colors in my paper here. So let's see, I need a Pecan Pie blending brush. I believe this is it right here. Okay, it is. Okay, so we'll get a little pecan in there. And here's my basic beige. And where's my Petunia Pop? I've made a mess. Well, here's another one. It's not my Petunia Pop, but I've got a couple purples going here. Okay. All right. So let's just do a couple real quick. So we know that this is this big rose right in through here. These are leaves down here. And this is a big giant leaf. Leaf. Flower. So this whole corner over here is flowers. And some leaves. Okay. Whoops, that really wasn't a very good trace line. So let's start with the basic beige. And so this whole kind of area right down in here is basic beige. So this is that same technique we did. It's just this time we're flipping it over. So it's going to give us a completely different look with the white instead of the brown on top. Okay, so there are those leaves there. Let's get these two right out here. And leave some white showing. See, I'm going to leave a gap there. Leave some white. It'll be a little bit more interesting. Okay. And then right in here. So all of this right in here. The beauty of this kind of technique is it doesn't have to be like rock solid perfect. Okay, I think that's really pretty. Let me bring it up so you can see it a little closer. All right, and I got ink on it, figures. Okay, so what I do need is right in here. So we're gonna do a little petunia. And I'm gonna do this one light. This middle one, I'm gonna really give a lot in the center and then kind of radiate out. So that rose has just a little bit more color to it. And then let's get some petunia down in here. A little softer. And then I'm going to come in with a little pecan pie and just, whoops, that was maybe a little stronger than I wanted, but that's okay. Just trying to mimic, see how it's kind of a light and a dark? Just giving it a little bit of some color in there. And we'll lay this back on. Okay, oh, that's how it goes right there. It's kind of where I traced it. I think I'm gonna blend right in there. I'm liking how everything else is blending except right there is a little harsh. So I'm gonna come in with some basic beige. Just try and blend that out just a little bit. Okay, hopefully that helped. Okay, it did help a little bit. It did. Okay, so this is pretty much not a super difficult layout that we're gonna do here, but let's glue that to there. Say goodbye to this pretty side. It's pretty, but I wanted to change it up a little bit. Okay, just add some glue in a few places here and there. Okay. I'm kind of looking. It's right about there, but oh, do I have a lot of glue? I'm gonna sneak some of that out of there. Okay, well that has, hold on, we don't want all this glue. Dimensional cover there, we don't need. Okay, so this layer here is now gonna come onto the front, and I have glue everywhere. Holy moly. Okay, we're gonna have some linen thread action going here. If I can find what I did with it, here it is. And same layout, so kind of taking a cue from the other card that we did where we had some ink blending like this. I'm gonna go ahead and tie. We'll tie a little higher because I've got this flower overlapping just a little bit. Okay, between my sticky fingers and really curly linen thread, I'm in trouble. Okay, bring this over here. Tie it off. And we'll do something a little longer. We'll tame those down just a little bit. Maybe. There we go. Okay, kind of wild and crazy. Now, what I want to do is you could do a couple things here. You could actually glue it to just this section here, and then this would kind of tuck underneath, but you could also glue it to there. But I can see that I need to remove some pencil lines big time. I didn't quite line it up the way I did the first time. Oh, they're somewhat gone, but not all the way. We'll call it details. All right, so like I said, you could put it on this pink flap, the berry burst flap, and then actually kind of do a tuck. But I think I'm just gonna glue it on that flap there. So I'm gonna center it. I'm gonna flip it over, look at it centered, and now I know where I'm putting my glue. So you don't wanna go beyond, you just want it on the one flap. And so we'll flip that right over. And now center this on your card front. Oops. This should be underneath. Get under there. Oh, hello. It's wiggling on me. Okay. All right, and so this one will kind of open like so, and then I will stamp that inside. And I would also even stamp this, so you'll get some surprises when you see that finished on my page tomorrow. I'll load them up tomorrow. But let's finish the front of this. I have a strip of basic beige here, and I'm gonna do that to a wonderful friend, this one right here. And we'll stamp that in Berry Burst. And what I need to do is, it's too wide, so I need to make it a little bit narrower. So let me just chop it down. So this one is a little bit more than 1/4 inch wide. And so I want it to be around 4 inches long. And we'll just stamp this right in the center. Or as close to the center as I can get. Not bad, not perfect, but not bad. And then this is going to kind of just stretch across the front. And then, if I want to add some more, I can. I may just leave it alone. I think I'm probably just going to leave it alone. You know, sometimes less is more, kind of like the one we had a minute ago. Just stretch this right across, add some gems, and we'll call it art. Okay, so let me just kind of get this up where I want it. And then we're just going to kind of slide this underneath. But I'm just going to kind of run right there alongside my linen thread. Hopefully I'm straight. I think so. Maybe a skosh high. Okay, I am really loving this color combination. This petunia with the basic beige and the pecan pie, there's just something really, it just settles nice with my, you know, I just kind of like it. All right, so let's add a few gems and let's call it art. Call it finished. Finito. Okay, let's see here. Let's do a couple bigs. Well, there's only one big left. Let's just do a couple gems there. We'll do one up over in here. And then you know what? I think I've got these two here. I'm gonna leave it. I'm like, no. But I still have this pencil line right there that I'm gonna have to try and work on to get rid of. But there you have it, folks. Some pretty stuff. I love this fold. I've done variations of this. You're gonna see more variations. I really have been into making cards out of designer series paper. So using the DSP as my card base. So let's do a quick review here of what we've done today. We've taken a look at the gorgeousness of the Floral Charm designer series paper. Done a little paper wrapping with that, some blending techniques, and fun different approaches to some of these things. And then this was kind of cutting things apart. So we did a lot today. We've done 8 cards. So hopefully there's something there that you have enjoyed or learned. Let me know if there's something you're going to try. Maybe you're going to try some painting with your Wink of Stella, or, you know, a little bit more blending. Just let me know what caught your eye, and I will see you next week in the Backstage Pass for our Scenic Adventure stamp class. And then don't forget, registration is now open for my Sunshine Vibes. That's the wrong one. Here it is. My Sunshine Vibes class. And so you can earn it for free, you can purchase it, or you can purchase the PDF. So by the 16th of July, that's when kits will mail out. And so this is going to be a fun one. I hope you'll join me. This will be in the Backstage Pass, as well as next week's class, which is Scenic Adventure, in the Backstage Pass. All right, I will see you then. Have a happy 4th of July. Hopefully, if you're from Canada, you had a great Canada Day a couple days ago. And thanks for being here and for your support. I surely appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye-bye, folks.